Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of World Talks here on TVP World, where every word matters. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guest on this next interview. Mateusz Morawiecki, Poland's former prime minister, is set to succeed Italy's Giorgia Meloni as leader of the European Conservative and Reformist Party, the ECR. Now, Meloni's endorsement announced at her party's annual festival signals a significant shift in the ECR's leadership as it gears up for the upcoming European elections. Morawiecki's potential leadership could bolster Poland's influence when European conservatism and beyond. Joining us today on TVP World to discuss this development is Bartosz Kielak, a journalist. Hello, sir, and welcome to TVP World.
Hello. Hi, Ben.
So good to see you again. And first of all, can you help us understand what does Giorgia Meloni's decision to step down signal about the current dynamics within the ECR?
The wider party obviously has changed in the past 5-6 years. The departure of the British Conservatives has left a large power void, and that's a power void that Giorgia Meloni has been trying to step in. She did effectively, and she did indeed lead the party on the European level for several years. But there's a big need on her behalf to focus on internal affairs of Italy. And going forward, obviously, she will be trying not only to engage her current allies, so people such as the president of Argentina, Javier Milei. She will be hoping to foster a stronger relationship with Donald Trump. And she's more than happy to release the steers of the party on the European level to Morawiecki.
All right, so why do you think that Morawiecki was Meloni's preferred successor?
To an extent, it is important for Morawiecki, it is important for the Law and Justice Party, and it is important for Poland. Morawiecki needs a lifeline. After departing the prime ministerial chancellery, his hopes of presidency didn't materialize. He was hoping to be the nominated candidate on behalf of his party in next year's presidential elections. Being a Polish prime minister makes you something of a European statesman. It does both narrow and expand the job horizons for him. Looking for alternatives outside politics, and we know that he inevitably did look for alternatives. He chose to stay in politics and needs a job to go with it. It also gives him a better shot at a future leadership of his own party, an ambition he's known to foster, and something Chairman Kaczyński did consider him for before. For the party, it represents both a sign of respect and engagement on the European stage, where Law and Justice Party has often been criticized for failing to and allies. And Morawiecki's experience on that level will inevitably help the party. It also helps the party leader Kaczyński to keep Morawiecki within his orbit as an active politician. Clearly, even though some PR attempts on Morawiecki's behalf didn't go unnoticed, as a prime minister, he was known to buy out full-page ads in British newspapers. Soon after departing the office of the prime minister, he was a frequent guest on right-wing programs across Europe. He gave interviews to right-wing media. He did try to stay on media's radar, so his personal brand, his recognizability, was enough for Meloni to make him a palatable choice for the leader of ECR. And lastly, it is important for Poland because obviously people with that sort of an experience need to function on both sides of the political divide.
All right, focusing on the last point that you just mentioned, how significant is Mateusz Morawiecki's appointment for Poland's political standing within Europe?
Well, obviously, Donald Tusk has played a similar role within his own party structures. ECR is not the biggest group in the European Parliament. I think it's the fourth biggest with 78 MEPs. Dynamics on the European level often play out differently to country dynamics. The best example of that would be the Law and Justice ongoing engagement with Fidesz, the Hungarian ruling government party. It is not hugely important, but it will allow him to foster stronger relationships within the European Union, something he might have some use for in the future. And we know that Law and Justice is never too far from taking power in Poland. They still command a sizable group of voters in Poland who support them. Poland, it's historically hasn't been too common for Polish politicians to take roles such as this on a European level. So it's a welcome thing.
All right. Do you think that this new appointment will kind of change the direction of the ECR going forward? Do you think this might shift the ECR strategy ahead of European elections?
No, not necessarily. And like both for Meloni and for the Polish, from a Polish perspective, the next elections are quite far. And despite the fact that we are discussing European level of politics, on a wider scale, it does not change much. Both parties, both the Brotherhood of Italy and the Law and Justice Party, what they will be focusing on is retaining and expanding their power base within their own countries. Unfortunately, any role within ECR does not translate for them for any increase in that power base in the country, and I don't think they will be too concerned with who actually plays the role of the leader on a European level. Still, as a representative of the movement, it's quite a vital and important role.
Right. And speaking of vital and important role, you just mentioned earlier that one of the calculations that Meloni had to make is the upcoming inauguration of the U.S. President Donald Trump. Do you think that, in events like Donald Trump's inauguration is going to play a significant role in the international repositioning? And do you think that this might shift how the ECR further approach geopolitics?
To an extent, all the European capitals are shifting their stance on multiple issues, ranging from environmental protections through NATO expenditure toward things like, how they engage with China, with Iran, with Russia, because of the ascension of Donald Trump to the White House. It's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. Most European countries did have it on the radar for a long time. The Kamala Harris step up in the campaign, and the fact that she ran has calmed the nerves in European capitals, and rightly so, as it turned out. So a lot of countries in the west of Europe that have been hoping for Democrats to retain power in the US are now vying to respond as quickly as possible. Poland currently has a president which it is well known that President Duda is close to Donald Trump, and he will be able to conduct diplomacy on that level effectively. We witnessed that in Paris last week when Donald Trump and President Duda posed for pictures together. On the ECR level, I don't expect Morawiecki's role to have much to do with Donald Trump. But when it comes to the US, I think there's an agreement between most countries that are still keen to engage with the European Union to prioritize that relationship with America and ensure that one thing is obviously that if Donald Trump decides to step out of NATO, that their European states are prepared for that. But otherwise, that they obviously know there's going to be a new president in Washington, and the next couple of years they'll be looking for all sorts of voices and all sorts of connection to connect with him.
All right, so we'll see how that shapes out. In the meantime, thank you so much for your input and insight. Really appreciate it, and thanks for being with us on TVP World. Cheers. And thank you for watching this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.